In this video, you're about to find out the top 10 best Naruto bloodlines in Shindo Life. Now, this video was actually very funny to try and make because a lot of the best bloodlines in the game aren't even based off of Naruto. So you will be impressed and surprised by this one. So let's go right to the video, guys. Remember to hit like button, subscribe if you guys enjoy it, and let's get right into it. Alright, so coming in 10th place is going to be the original Akuma, which is just based off the Sharingan in Naruto. So this is obviously going to be in 10th place because this bloodline is very okay. And like I famously say, as a lot of people know when I actually talk about Akuma, it is an okay bloodline. There's nothing really, overly special about it. There's nothing, inherently bad about it. It also has one of the longest auto dodges in the game and has a pretty good C-spec that does stack on people and things like that. So I think in the end of things, this is actually a really, really good bloodline in general, just as an average bloodline. So if you're looking for a bloodline in Shindo Life that isn't, it may not be the best, it may not be the worst, and all that stuff. So then Akuma may be your actual best bet. Also, I would like to say that it does actually have a true samurai spirit, which does take less mode than the other ones. Barely less, by the way, but it does take less. And you can actually customize it. Like you can see, I got this big pink boy right here. Very, very nice. Some beautiful white eyes. But yeah, in general, even though you do get some pretty cool customization with Akuma, it obviously isn't the best in the world. Like the stun doesn't last as long as the other stuns in the game. The damage ability is pretty lackluster. The auto dodge is obviously worse than the counters in the game. And the C-spec is only really good against people that are move stacking. So Akuma, if you're looking for a pretty good average bloodline, just go for it. Alright, so coming in 9th place is going to be the Naramaki bloodline. Now, the main reason for this is going to be obviously, by the way, this is Naruto. The main reason for this is going to be that the C2 mode actually did get its timer removed. Now, I'm sure you guys know why that is such a big deal. Basically, the mode before was the best thing about the bloodline, even with the timer on it. And then they removed the timer and didn't really lower the stats by that much, so it's still like really amazing stats for a bloodline mode. Absolutely amazing stats. So you do have this really amazing mode, and Naramaki just for the mode is actually kind of worth it. The actual abilities themselves, I will not say they're the best in the world or good at all. They all have inherent flaws to them. I've listed out the flaws before. They're never going to get fixed. It's just kind of how it is, I guess. But the mode, now that they actually did make it so you can use it, is amazing in my opinion. I do actually think the mode is quite a good good thing to have in this game now, just because everything has been power creeps to the point where this high of stats is kind of needed at this point to actually fight well. Now, also, strange mode obviously is an amazing mode because it does give you high stats as well. But, if you want to be like, go full Baron mode on someone's booty hole, you know what I'm saying? All right, so coming in 8th place is going to be Arahaki Jokai. Now, this is going to be based off the Hyuga clan. I'm pretty sure it's Neji. But when it comes to this, I actually do think this bloodline really isn't that great. But I do have to recognize that the actual bloodline itself isn't the worst in the world. The third move was rebuffed, so now it has iframes again. The first move's a near instant ability that does tons of damage. So just the third move into the first move will do 150,000 damage. It's obviously quite good. They're not very versatile abilities, but they're definitely not the worst in the world. And they do have the second ability, which is an iframe ability. You can combo off the knockback and all that stuff. But in general, I do actually think that this bloodline isn't that good, but I do have to recognize that the third move and the first move are quite good. Coming in 7th place is going to be Ryan Akuma. Now, Ryan Akuma is going to be coming in a solid 7th place on this list, mostly honestly because Ryan Akuma has really good iframe attacks and overall pretty good damage amount. So when it comes to Ryan Akuma, a lot of people generally only use the third ability and the C-spec. It does actually have a counter. I wouldn't say the counter is very good, but it does have a counter, has a ragdoll attached to it and stuff like that. So if that's what you're looking for, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. But generally, what is the best part about Ryan Akuma is going to be the third ability, which actually is a block-breaking iframe auto-tracking ability. It also does a bit of damage. I actually used to love using this move. It was my single favorite move in the entire game, but they obviously did nerf the iframes. And generally, it's actually a lot more susceptible to counters now that the iframes were removed. So that's kind of why it's pretty bad now. Iframes being removed means that you will get countered super hard using it. And the C-spec is an iframe mode drain shield seal ability. It's honestly, I do think this mode is one of the most underrated modes in the game, just because it's not very, special. There's nothing really, that cool about it. But in general, Ryan Akuma definitely will not disappoint you. Also, this is based off Sasuke. Now, coming to 6th place, it could be Ren Shiki, which is actually based off of Momoshiki. Now, I don't have the second mode unlocked. The second mode is the best thing about the bloodline. The second mode basically has a super high damage C-spec, really high damage M1s. Like, imagine the first mode, but just like almost like twice or 3 times as good. It's a really, really good mode. Now, the actual abilities of Ren Shiki are really not that great, all things considered. Like, the second move is a ground locked, a ground lock combo extender. It's not good, by the way. I wouldn't even recommend using it until they make it not ground locked. The third move, I actually do think the third move is quite cool. The third move is the one I've actually had the most success with as well. If you have pretty good aim, and you can manage to land the third move on them, it legitimately does slap. It's a block breaking ability that, you know, pretty much instantly teleports to someone. Very underrated ability in general. It's just really hard to use if you don't have really good aim. Now, the weapon spec of this doesn't have any hit stun, which instantly makes it bad. So I do recommend that you just stay away from the weapon spec. And then the counter is obviously a really good ability. It does give you chi back, and they actually buffed it, so now it attacks them when, you know, they attack you. Now, coming to 5th place, it could be Bankai Akuma. Now, Bankai Akuma is coming in 5th place. You know, it's a very solid bloodline in general. It has an auto dodge, you know. You can't get hit in the auto dodge, obviously. It's a pretty good, you know, it's a pretty good auto dodge. You know, slap, 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 slap. But what makes this bloodline so good is actually the stun. The stun is what makes this bloodline so good. But I do have to mention that the C-spec does mode drain. The third move does do a bit of damage and auto tracks. But the stun is why everyone uses this bloodline. And it's actually what makes this bloodline so good. Boom, stun. 1, 2, 3. So it's a 3-second place lock stun that is an AoE. I would say it's impossible to predict. And it can be easily thrown into combos in general. So the stun is a very good stun in general. And I do recommend that if you're going to be using Bankai, the stun is probably what you should be using from it. Now, coming to 4th place, it could be Shindo Rengoku, obviously based off Madara. Now, this is one that I was actually contemplating whether or not to add to this list, because it's honestly a choice of whether or not to add this to the list, because is this really, you know, representative of what happened in Naruto? And I went back and I watched the fight scenes with Madara and stuff like it. He does use these abilities in general, but in the end of things, obviously the other Shindai is a lot more accurate than this one. But I do feel like this one is still, you know, pretty accurate to the anime, so we'll be adding it. Obviously, it's gonna be in 4th place. Has insanely, you know, big M1s that hit people from, you know, the length of my big giant fat forehead. Has an amazing throwable that auto tracks to someone, place locks. It's just generally a really good bloodline. There's a reason why it's regarded as being one of the best bloodlines in the game, and it does have a pretty good block breaking, which is the second move right here. Oh, I think he's dead because he's not getting hit by it. I also obviously haven't mentioned the counter yet. The counter is also really, really good. The reason why I haven't mentioned yet is obviously because the counter itself, it's kind of hard to hit on people, so I don't really, you know, put it in as a suggestion of why this bloodline's so good. But the counter does actually exist. It does do a lot of damage in general, and I actually do think the counter is quite good in the end of thing, just because it does do 150,000 damage. But you have to be good enough at the game to be able to predict when, you know, they're going to hit you, just so you can get it off. Now, coming to 3rd place is going to be the Rengoku bloodline, obviously based off of Diva, or not the Diva path. It's based off of Pain. So, you know, the 6 paths of Pain right here. We got the Animal, Asura, we got Karashi Spirit over here and stuff like that. But obviously this is going to be the, you know, the best mode. It's one of the best modes of the game, so I did have to put it in the list just for that. But it also has pretty good abilities as well. Now, I forget to mention this in my videos, but because I always mention like, oh yeah, the mode is amazing, the mode is godlike, the mode is the most versatile mode of the game and all that stuff. But what I forget to mention is that the first ability is actually a pretty good ability in general, and the second ability is a pull ability, which is also inherently good. So it's not like the abilities are bad besides the third one. The third one's trash. Always stay away from that. Anyone supporting the third ability is instantly bad at the video game. But when it comes to the actual mode, obviously it's the most versatile mode in the game. The abilities are not terrible, which does lead me to say that the actual bloodline itself is quite good. Now, coming to 2nd place as the second best Naruto-based bloodline in Shindo Life is going to be Naramaki 6 Pass. Now, this is Sage Naruto, if you guys are unaware. Let me just take a second here. Oh my god. Look at that, man. Look at that beauty McShooty over here, man. Look at that, man. Okay. But anyways, Naramaki 6 Pass right here. Obviously, the second mode is insanely good. I mean, the second mode has tons of damage, has a really good counter, has really good stats in general. And the counter, by the way, is the weapon spec. When someone hits you, boom, 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 it does like 100,000 damage to them. Quite good ability. But generally, what actually makes Naramaki 6 Pass so good is the mode in a combination with this third move. Now, if you guys are unaware, this third move is actually hilariously good. It was nerfed, by the way. I do actually think it's, you know, somewhat balanced now. It's on the iframe global cooldown now. Hashtag rip to third move. But first of all, the second move also has this absolutely massive AoE where you will get hit by it. If you're not blocking, this will 100% hit you. There's no way to avoid it. The AoE is literally the size of like a football field. The first move is kind of the, you know, the only bad move in Naramaki 6 Pass, I would say. And even then, it actually is okay. Oh, he's in the wall. You know, that's cool and all. But definitely what makes this bloodline so good is going to be the third move and the mode. Have you ever gotten 80th spin rarity and gotten something like just atomic? Well, that's because because you haven't hit the like button on this video yet. If you hit the like button on this video, you're guaranteed to get 10 million times luck. 100%. Now, our number 2 is going to be Ryan Ren Goku. Now, Ryan Ren right here is, in general, I actually do think it's an okay bloodline. I mean, you know, ever since they made the second mode, you know, you can actually use it now. It definitely made it a lot better in general. But what does actually make this bloodline so good, it has nothing to do with the mode at all. It is going to be the actual abilities of the mode. I mean, of the bloodline. Now, as you can see, this is an EKG, so which means that you could use the bloodlines in your, you know, elemental slot. The reason why this is such a big deal is that this actually has a combo extending ability, which is the first one, as I'll show you, which actually does extend off of M1s, so boom. And then it has no end lag at all, so you can combo while you're using it. Now, another really funny thing is that the second move, if you spam click with it and you spam click on them twice, it could do like 100,000 damage to someone instantly. It's also an iframe, you know, or auto dodge, as you would say. Really good ability in general. I actually do really enjoy it. It's one of my personal favorites, even though it was nerfed. And then the third move is actually a place lock stun. You know, it's not a true stun because you can't actually attack during and stuff like that. But I do think Ryan Red is worth the honorable mentions on this list. Now, honorable mention 1 is going to be Raikishis, and I'm not going to talk about this that much. It's going to be based off of Hashirama. Now, the reason why this is going to be on the list is mainly because of the mode. When you're really close to someone and you actually use the C-spec on them, it does do a lot of damage, but you do have to be close to them. You have to place lock them. The actual abilities of Raikin, they're not the worst in the world. You know, they're usable in general, but the mode is definitely why it's going to be on this list. By the way, guys, what is your favorite Naruto-based bloodline in Shindo Life? Favorite to comment below. We'll be checking them out. Now, coming in first place as the best Naruto-based bloodline at Shindo Life is going to be Shindai Akuma. Now, Shindai Akuma, obviously, it's one of those bloodlines that was really amazing for a while. It was amazing for like 3 months, literally best in the game ever. On the release, it was the single best in the game ever on release. And then they hardcore nerfed it because obviously it was really broken. And then for like a year or something like that, it was absolutely horrid. And then they actually buffed it. The third move is now a place lock stun. Second move is honestly the same as it was before. There's nothing really changed about it. But since the third move is a place lock stun, and allows you to combo with the second move a lot more efficiently. And that doesn't even get me started on how good the actual mode and first ability is. Now, with the mode, the actual C-spec is quite good. It's basically a counter attached with the first move. Now, ever since they did nerf the fact that they don't really do as much damage as they're supposed to. They just kind of M1 people. It's not nearly as good as it used to. It used to be able to do, it used to basically be the first ability, but as a C-spec. Now, the first ability is by far the best ability of Shindai. It's a ragdoll TP counter that has the ability to do a lot of damage from combo damage. Full, you know, potential of this bloodline. But yes, this is going to be the best Naruto-based bloodline in the entire game. Anyways, guys, just piece of this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to like, subscribe, hope to see you guys. Bye bye.